Hello, great people. Nigerians are in shock as the EFCC announced that one of its employees carted away with over 30,000 US dollars from the exhibit room. And Nigerians are amazed that how did this happen and what is the operation, the modus operandi of the EFCC in such a way that one of your employee will be able to cut away with as much as 30,000 US dollars. Now, we'll be dissecting the associated issues pertaining to this particular announcement by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Well, the first thing is that you see, when you see the EFCC, which is an agent to fight corruption, if EFCC is mentioned and the first thing that comes to your mind is corruption, then there's a problem. In the sense that, for instance, it's like when they mention police or you see the police and you are insecure, and the first thing that you are afraid of is insecurity, then there's a problem. If you are relating with the judiciary and the first thing that you are afraid of is injustice, there is a problem. It shows that Nigeria is gradually drifting into a state of anarchy, because when EFCC is mentioned, what you should be expecting is that you won't find any iota of corruption, that the personnel should be above board in such a way that when EFCC is mentioned, you would know that, oh, things will go fine as regards anti-corruption fight. But for an EFCC official to be the one stealing, then it calls for concern. So we need to look at it that on this kind of instance, with this announcement by EFCC, could stealing from suspect accusation be true? Because we've read in the media whereby people will accuse even EFCC of stealing from them when they raid their home. People will accuse the EFCC of sharp and unholy practices. So does this point out to the fact that perhaps some of these people that have experienced the raid of EFCC on their homes and offices, could it be that they are speaking the truth? Because the man that, carted away with the $30,000 from EFCC's exhibit room, if that person goes on an operation and that person sees some dollars during the operation, would that person not steal? For you to have effrontery to steal the money in the exhibit room when you know that the money has been documented, everything has been documented, and you still have the effrontery to steal such a money. If you are now sent on operation, what will you now do? Definitely you will steal the money and even steal the person self if it is possible. So we need to look at this thing. And one thing that comes to mind in this is that now that over 30,000 US dollars has been carted away by one of the EFCC employee, don't forget that the money is an exhibit. The person that they got the money from will be arraigned in court, and that money is expected to be kept in EFCC custody safe, even if the trial of that person lasts for 10 years. The money is expected to be there, except the court gives an order otherwise. But when the trial is still on, the money will naturally be in EFCC custody. Now, let us imagine that that person that owns the money, after the trial, the court found the person not guilty, and the EFCC guys have already tampered with the money and stolen the money. What will now happen to the money? Who will pay the money? Who will find money for the person? Like, let's put it in real life terms. If EFCC raid your home and $30,000 or more was, carted away from your home as exhibit, and at the end of the day, you went through the judicial process, and the judiciary said, well, this polythinker is free and not guilty. Who will now pay you the $30,000? Will the EFCC, after making you to go through the judicial process wrongly, will they come and be begging that, oh, sorry, in the course of your trial, we lost your money? Then, if that is not the case, who will pay the money? And if that money is to be forfeited to the federal government, if the court says, okay, this money is thereby forfeited to the federal government because it is the proceeds of corruption, then who will now account for the $30,000? Is it that perhaps, would it be that the EFCC will be the one that will pay it, perhaps from its budgetary allocation? Then that will bring about greater inefficiency, because even the budgetary allocation of EFCC is not even enough. No agency in Nigeria, I repeat, no agency have sufficient budget provision. None. If you look at the agencies in Nigeria, whether the security agency, any kind of agency in Nigeria, if you compare their effectiveness and what they need to their foreign counterpart, no agency in Nigeria has sufficient budgetary provision that can take them from where they are to where they ought to be in the Committee of Nations. If you look at the police, can you compare Nigerian police to that of the UK police, the US police? If you look at even the judicial system, so that shows the lack of funding and the lack of adequate and proper amenities. So if EFCC is still in need of funding and amenity and logistics, and the same EFCC have to pay from that small meager budget, pay for $30,000, then it can only bring greater inefficiency in the EFCC itself. One thing is that the EFCC needs to quickly begin to check its recruitment process, because the person that stole that money and ran away with it is a thief. A thief is a thief. So how will a thief be expected to fight corruption? That shows the flaw in the recruitment process of EFCC. It shows that EFCC itself needs to check itself in such a way that if you are recruiting people that won't tarnish the image of the organization, not that you go and recruit thief that will now start to steal dollar from the exhibit room. Then we need to also examine that how did the guy gain access to the exhibit room of EFCC? You want to imagine that a department as important as the exhibit room, is there no cross verification or cross scrutiny, in the sense that to access the EFCC exhibit room, is it like a restroom that anybody can just come in and go in? No, I don't think so. And I think that there should be cross verification. Is it only one person that have the key, or is it that one person is allowed to go into the EFCC room, or is there a law, or should there be a law that if you want to go inside the EFCC room, at least 2 to 3 people must go together? Is there no cross verification or scrutiny in terms of the access and whatever takes place in the EFCC exhibit room? Another way we need to look at it is the role of technology, right? Is there no camera in the EFCC exhibit room in such a way that even if there's nobody in that room, but because of the importance of that room to the cases in court, is there no camera in that room in such a way that 247 the activity in that room is being recorded based on the importance of the things that are being kept in that room? So is there no cross verification, cross scrutiny, and the use of technology? Well, if that is the case, it only shows that EFCC is a larger reflection of the Nigerian society. It shows that the mediocrity that you find in most of the sectors in Nigeria, in most of the agencies, department and parastatal of government, it shows that EFCC is also suffering from it. So what we can say is the EFCC should purge itself, and government itself should go all out to make sure that the operation of the EFCC is strengthened. And also, perhaps, there should be a law, the strongest of laws, in the sense that if an ordinary man is found guilty of stealing, if the law for that person that, okay, if you are found guilty of stealing, if it is 5 years, can there be a law that if you are an EFCC official and you are expected that you shouldn't steal, and you are now caught stealing, your own sentence will be 10 years? Could that be the case? Could there be laws that will strengthen the operations of the EFCC? Because, like I said earlier, if you, as a citizen of Nigeria, if you see EFCC and the first thing that comes to your mind is, oh, they will steal from me, and the first thing that comes to your mind is corruption, that you see an anti-corruption agency, you are dealing with an anti-corruption agency, and the first thing that you are afraid of is corruption, then there is a problem. If you see a security agency and the first thing that you are afraid of is your own personal security while dealing with a security agency, then there is a problem. If you are interacting with the judiciary and the first thing that comes to your mind or you are afraid of is injustice, then there is a problem. Nigeria cannot continue like that, because what goes round comes around. And in these days of social media, in these days of technology, everything that is going on in Nigeria, then people are reading it across the world. And you want to look at it that Nigeria will want the funds, stolen funds from, for instance, the Abacha loot, should be sent back to Nigeria. And during the process of that, if Nigeria is kind of like advocating for the release of those stolen funds, the funds that have been stolen by politicians in Nigeria, one of the agency and department of government that will be involved is the EFCC. So if the country that want to release money to the CBN, the Ministry of Finance, and EFCC, if they are reading this about EFCC, then would they be willing to kind of like return those funds. And that's why you see that some of these countries usually put Nigeria on strict condition, in the sense that it is Nigeria that owns the money. It is Nigeria's money. They loot it and transfer the money abroad. But when the country want to release the money to you, because of the corruption that they know exists in Nigeria, they will now be giving Nigeria condition that if we release this money to you, okay, what will you use it to do? Let us agree. You will use it to do so and so road. You will use it to build so and so hospital. That means that the country is dictating for Nigeria how his money should be spent. For instance, the loot that they said it was the Ziani loot that was returned to Nigeria. The US government was giving Nigeria condition on how the money will be spent. It is some of this corruption that is prevalent in our system that will make another country to want to return your money to you, and will now be giving you condition on how you will spend your own money. That itself is an embarrassment, but then it is what it is, because if there's corruption in your system, then that country will put you in condition so that the ordinary Nigerians that own that money will benefit from it, so that you don't loot the loot, or the loot will now be relooted. So we need to begin to check ourselves, and the EFCC need to purge itself and its agency of corruption. May God bless Nigeria, and may that country that we so desire, may it happen in our lifetime. It's been an interesting time with you on this episode of Politics with Dr. Omoshola Deji. Dr. Deji is a political scientist with a PhD in political science, and this is where we relax to dissect politics and happenings in the polity. Do want to subscribe, turn on your notification button, catch up with my past videos, and of course I have great interesting videos coming your way. Till I see you again, always remember that I love you all sincerely.